Hey guys, it's Mike here, and welcome to another video we are going to be bringing you today, which is going to be the next entry in Wasted Potential, in which we delve into characters, concepts, and all sorts of things in which we ask the question, was it wasted? And in this case, we're going to be talking about a character from Dragon Ball Z, and more specifically, one of the Dragon Ball Z movies, Dragon Ball Z Movie 5 and so on, and he is the brother of the intergalactic tyrant of the universe, Frieza, and his name is Cooler. So today, myself and MJ from GeeklistTV are going to be discussing whether or not we think that Cooler was wasted in Dragon Ball Z. Don't forget to like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to my channel to stay up to date on all upcoming videos in the future. Alright MJ, so today we're going to be discussing that question of whether or not Cooler was wasted in Dragon Ball Z, whether or not his concept might have been able to be used a little bit better, whether or not maybe he should have been in the series proper. What exactly do you think when it comes down to whether or not Cooler was wasted, and if you believe so, how do you think he should have been implemented as a result?
Well, yeah, I believe he was wasted, but like almost every movie villain, they are wasted, you know, they're shown to be badass, and then the protagonist gets a power up, and they get, like, wasted. They're basically, like, one-shotted at that point. But Cooler, though, he's one of those villains where it could have worked into the main canon story. It could have been him that's shown up instead of Cold and instead of Frieza, because he had a legit vendetta, and he almost just seemed like, even though I liked Cold's attitude of just like, Frieza, let's just blow this planet up and leave, you know what I mean? I like Cooler's attitude that he wanted to see what killed his brother. Like, he was like, bring it on, let me see what you got. So I kind of like that attitude. While he was just sort of like, I guess what people would call just like a knockoff of Frieza, you know, he did the finger beams, he did the huge blast. He could have been implemented in a way to where they could have made an arc about it. He could have brought an army with them. You know, we're talking, instead of just his squad, he could have brought in a legit army with them, something that we sort of got in ROF and something that we didn't get in Namek. Like, the whole Namek idea of like Vegeta and them going against Frieza, I was thinking they were going to go against his whole army, like this emperor, right? Well, Cooler could have brought that with him. He could have brought this army to take on Goku to get revenge. And overall, the idea of him coming to get revenge for Frieza just would have been overall done better. And plus, I just liked his character as well. I'm not too sure if you would agree with me on that, but I mean, I'll throw it over to you. Like, what do you think?
Yeah, I like Cooler as a character and as a villain. I feel like he's one of the villains from the movies that might have had the most potential of all of them, because
Agreed.
Really, Frieza was this big ultimate villain up until this point, and he was so unstoppable. He was so difficult for them to finally defeat, whereas Goku needed to unlock a legendary transformation that hadn't existed in over a millennia just to defeat the guy. And then we have Cooler, his brother, who unlocks a transformation even above Frieza, but the movie itself isn't hours and hours long. It doesn't have anywhere near as much dramatic tension.
Yeah.
Rather than Goku being at a disadvantage when he first starts to fight Cooler, he gets the advantage, like, immediately, and he's beating him around and forces Cooler to transform.
Yeah.
And the whole movie plays out very similar to, as you mentioned, Resurrection F. The whole movie plays out very similar to Resurrection F, which you could tell there's a lot of influences. I mean, both Frieza and Cooler want revenge against the Super Saiyan. They both come to Earth with their own kind of forces. Frieza has his own army, Cooler has his own, you know, Ginyu force, basically. And they both, you know, try and fight Goku. They both are forced to transform pretty much against Goku and, you know, Goku's base. Although at least Goku transforms first in Resurrection F, and then Frieza transforms. And basically, they end up being both killed in the end by Goku, by a Kamehameha. One gets blasted into the sun, and one just gets the kill stolen from Vegeta.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, I feel Cooler definitely could have ended up being a lot more interesting of a villain and a lot more, you know, expanded upon. And we did at least get another movie with Cooler, movie 6, which was called The Return of Cooler. So, you know, we did at least get to expand upon him a little bit more. But rather than, you know, it being a more interesting return in a longer kind of arc, you know, again, like Why didn't Cooler, instead of Garlic Jr., for example, get his own arc in the series as opposed to Garlic? But at the same time, when you think about it, you know, in the second movie, Cooler was this weird robot thing that was like eating New Planet Namek as a star, and he was like, you know, constantly replicating himself. Like, it was cool, he was more powerful, but it didn't really add to more of the interesting cinematics. It didn't really add to more of like an interesting story. It was more, I didn't like it, to be honest. Yeah, it was just more just like Cooler is now cooler than before, essentially. You know, he's liquid metal, basically.
He's like Janemba in a sense, you know what I mean? Janemba is one of those villains, again, from the movie continuity, who just was cool, and you could see it fit into the canon story. You could see it fit into the main anime version of Dragon Ball, and that's the way I see it with Cooler. Like, the dude had he had the backstory. Like, he would have been someone who is connected right away with the likes of Goku and Vegeta and Piccolo, you know what I mean? He could have been used better. His transformation could have been way more epic. It could have been this drawn out epic ass arc where he brought his whole army to take revenge, and it just would have been overall cool, you know what I mean? Again, one of those villains where they could have made an arc out of it. And in the movie, I kind of just do feel like he was wasted, because he shows up, and like you mentioned earlier, Goku is the one beating him up, and he's forced to transform, and then Goku transforms, and then he gets beat up again, you know what I mean? It's like, I don't think he really ever got his kind of like, what would be the, like, he was never really on top, you know, in his own movie, so.
He never even got his own 15 minutes of fame, really, when you think about it.
There you go.
He only had about 15 minutes of dominance, if that. But, like, when you think about it, I think a cool kind of change here, if we're going to suggest like a change in how to really implement Cooler, would be to kind of like have Frieza have actually died on Namek, and instead of having him come back as like a robot and then his father comes up and then they both just get killed effortlessly by Trunks, which kind of accomplishes nothing, you should have had like a mini arc where basically Cooler shows up and all the other Z fighters have to band up to fight him and team together, and then Trunks shows up, and that way, like, this guy seems unstoppable. Well, maybe then Trunks shows up and helps to win. I guess somehow you could explain butterfly effect, because the time travel made it where Cooler was going to win in the main timeline, so Trunks had to intervene, and that sets up everything for like the androids coming. Like, I feel like there was much better ways that they could have implemented Cooler and tie it into the android arc and basically have it all work out even better rather than just having Frieza and his father show up and wasting them in 5 seconds.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with that.
Yeah, so let us know your own thoughts down below in the comments section, whether or not you actually thought Cooler was wasted as well, because I know a lot of people, he's their favorite villain in, you know, the Dragon Ball movies. A lot of people have often told me in the past that they definitely wanted to see him on the series, so I really do want to know what your thoughts are down below. Also, MJ and I over on GeekListTV did a video, which is How Strong is Cooler, in which we go really in-depth discussing how powerful we believe that Cooler is, and, you know, why some of the extra material may not very well be on the money in that regard. So make sure to go over there and subscribe to him. It's totally free, and you'll get to see all of his videos right away when they come out, and hit those notifications. And if you really like this video on my channel, I would encourage you to also subscribe, because I make videos weekly, and, you know, you could see all these videos just like this coming out. And if you also want to suggest videos to me in the future, make sure to go over to my Twitter at LSM Mike. But as I always say, stick around, because there's a lot more to come in the future.
And you better subscribe!